Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Now, up in just a few minutes, we have our influencer segment brought to us by CCPDigital and Caldwell Soames. Today, we are featuring Nikki Giavasis. She's an actress, an entrepreneur, an author, and a mega influencer of sorts. And here to join her today are Chris Pulley, who serves as CEO of CCPDigital. They're a decade-old digital advertising agency with a rather unique access and deep knowledge of the blockchain and cryptocurrency industries, along with Paul Caldwell, chairman and CEO of Caldwell Soames, the Houston-based firm that has been around since 1992. Now, Caldwell manages two very impressive funds. One is a publicly traded enterprise fund, and the other is a private enterprise fund with a focus on investing in well-managed transformative businesses, both in disruptive and emerging industries such as Web3. And how fitting is this? And we are very much at the forefront with Caldwell Soames in all our innovation and technology segments. Today, both Chris and Paul are coming on to help Nikki Giavasis make sense of cryptocurrency and all its constituents on the blockchain and help us put Web3 into very much needed perspective. We're going to chat Metaverse, cryptocurrency, NFTs, and what you need to know to come out winning. So what is Web3 and why are all the crypto people suddenly talking about it? Well, the term obviously refers to a third generation of the internet, but is it just hype and the latest fad among those who trade NFTs of cartoon apes for hundreds of thousands of dollars and are already designing their virtual homes in the metaverse? Or is Web3 the less concentrated version of the internet that it represents, something that those of you who thought you were still living on Web 2 ought to know about? Well, the answer is probably yes. And with that said, welcome to the show, my panel of experts and the beautiful Nikki.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, Nikki, this is your time to shine. I'm going to set the tone by addressing what exactly Web3 is, and then you can go ahead and start with your Q&A with our two experts. Now, to set the tone for our listeners coming into these segments, Web3 refers to what I like to refer to as a potential new iteration of the internet, one that runs on public blockchains, the record-keeping technology best known for facilitating cryptocurrency transactions. See that? A two-in-one explanation. And that appeal of Web3 is that it is decentralized. That is the appeal. So that instead of users accessing the internet through services mediated by the likes of Google and Apple or Facebook, it's the individuals themselves who own and control pieces of the internet. All right. That is Web3 in the core minimum. Now, Nikki, I'm going to let you take it from here and you can go ahead and start from the ground up.
Okay, from the ground up, just cryptocurrency itself. How do we start with someone who has no knowledge of what crypto is and give a basic explanation so they can start getting involved without losing too much money, but also, getting involved in the right way?
That's a loaded question, and you might not know it, Nikki, because there's so many perspectives here. Are we answering as, an investor in cryptocurrency, or somebody that enjoys collectible items, or someone that likes the experience of new technologies and the promise of VR and AR? So it's a very tough question to answer in that simplest form.
Okay, how about if someone has never really heard of cryptocurrency whatsoever, and you're just from the beginning explaining what cryptocurrency is?
I think, Nikki, I think the way to really start someone new in the space is to give them some perspective on traditional currencies that they use every day and alternative currencies, alternative solutions, and help them understand that it's another way to be able to engage in commerce. And that's actually one of the main components of Web3, really, is decentralized finance and tokenized economics. And when you start talking like that, though, to someone that's new to the whole space, tokenized economics, right?
Yeah.
they're kind of like, they kind of will sometimes push back. You can watch their eyes glaze over pretty quickly. So I think it's really important to keep it simple, super simple at first, and just compare it to currently what they have in the form of the currency that they currently use. Cryptocurrency, on the other hand, is different than, for example, NFTs. Those are non-fungible tokens. And some may define them as a currency, others define them more appropriately, probably as the tokens that they are and assets. So if you just keep it really simple and talk about cryptocurrencies as a currency, a way that you can engage in transactions, and tokens as a way that you can collect something or you can gather something that has a value, seems to be a way to get people to understand it. But the very best way that I found to help a neophyte or a new person is to just tell them, hey, look, if you really want to understand it, go buy some Bitcoin, go buy some Ethereum, get into an NFT in a reputable marketplace, and just jump in and test
Yeah.
the water.
Essentially what Paul is saying is cryptocurrency, or crypto, quote unquote, it's a digital currency designed to work as a medium of exchange through a computer network that is not reliant, and this is extremely key, on any central authority such as government or banks that we know it to uphold or maintain. So there comes the talk of DeFi and decentralized finance. So from that point on, you can start to talk about and leaving the what is the cryptocurrency question to what is the blockchain and how does that work, right? And of course, when you talk about all of this, right, a blockchain, essentially, it's a growing list of records called blocks, right, that are linked together using what we call cryptography. And each block contains a cryptographic hash of the previous block, like a timestamp, a transaction data, right? And the timestamp proves that the transaction data existed when the block was published in order to get into the hash. That transaction that exists is what links it all together. And as blocks each contain information about the block previous to it, they form a chain, and with each additional block reinforcing the one before it. So it's kind of like a domino effect, right?
I'm going to chime in there, as that is extremely well said, Zen, and yet I still think few will understand that concept. And I think most, when we're talking to a general public, probably care less about how it all works and more about how do I participate, or how do I take advantage, and to boil it as elementary as I think I can, and make the point. If you've ever been to or taken a child to a Chuck E. Cheese before, right? And you go into Chuck E. Cheese and you cannot use USD. You have to buy Chuck E. Cheese tokens to play the games, to access the rides. And so if you think of that concept of Chuck E. Cheese, or whatever your local arcade tokens are, it's very similar in the crypto world. So as projects bring their service, their assets, their ideas to market, you traditionally will need to access their cryptocurrency, their tokens, to be able to access and buy.
That's right. Chris, couldn't have said it better yourself. The Chuck E. Cheese reference is probably a reference all of America will totally understand. Thank you for saying that. All right, Nikki, I'll give this back to you. Go ahead with some more insightful questions.
Okay, so a huge topic of conversation now are NFTs. A lot of people know the term, but they don't know how they work, how to buy them. They don't really know what they are. It's almost like a very popular word, but it's very foreign and unfamiliar. So how do you kind of break that down to someone who wants to learn about NFTs and explain what they are? Because I've heard some people buy as much as like virtual property, like maybe over $1 million in NFTs or in the metaverse. And for someone who's not even really buying property here in reality for $1 million, like how do you kind of explain that to a person and get them to understand?
All right, Paul, this is yours. You have about a minute and a half.
I think that, again, the best thing to do is to make sure that you tell people to get into a proper exchange, proper marketplace, somewhere that they can really interact with the model and the business. There's a lot of junk out there. It's wild west kind of thing, and it really is a buyer beware business in many respects. And I think that the person that you're talking to, the person that's new to the space, should really understand that they need to find a reputable marketplace and just go explore. Get on the internet, go explore NFTs and see what they're all about. Look into secondary marketplaces. That's where the NFTs that they purchase on the marketplace can get sold in the secondary market. And most reputable marketplaces, NFT marketplaces, have a secondary market where you can buy and sell and trade. So tell them to think of it a little bit like baseball trading cards, if they're familiar with that, where you really you don't know what's in the pack all the time, but you buy the pack because you're hoping to get that one card that makes the whole purchase of the pack worth it. Maybe it's worth more now or later. Also, the ability to collect things that are interesting to them already. Maybe an existing sports figure that has their NFTs would be interesting to someone to just collect it because they collect that person anyway. Kobe Bryant's a great example of that, I think. A much beloved basketball player that people would collect no matter what the value is. It's really not about the value. It's about the feeling. It's about wanting to have a part of that unique token, because these are unique, non-fungible tokens. They're secure and they're locked in and they're not going to change. They can be bought and sold and traded, however. And there's a whole nother business aspect to non-fungible tokens. What I just mentioned was really the tradable aspect of them, the novelty aspect. I like to call it the novelty aspect of NFTs. But that's mainly where they are. It's where they started. It's where they're at today still, for the most part. Art, entertainment, sports memorabilia, these types of things. And they're finding their way into the metaverse where they can become assets inside a metaverse platform.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to go into that metaverse and have Chris answer this because I know she has a lot of metaverse questions. But essentially, Nikki, right? An NFT, this non-fungible token, it's a non-interchangeable unit of data, and it's always stored on the blockchain. Essentially, it's a form of digital ledger, and like Paul said, it can be sold and traded. And types of NFT data units may be associated with digital files such as photos, videos, an audio file, so to speak, which is why we are seeing that they are revolutionizing the music industry. But coming into that, we have about 2 minutes left. What are your metaverse questions? And you can address them to Chris.
Well, first of all, I think a lot of people have heard the term metaverse, but they don't even know what that is. Like, they see Instagram, metaverse, they see those things, and there's still no idea what is the metaverse. So is there a way to explain that to the novice person?
I believe so. And I even piggyback on the comments by Mr. Caldwell around the NFTs being access, right? Collectibles, access, literally anything you can think of, you can put it into the IP of that NFT and allow access. So when you think of the metaverse, and we think about your friend who bought land, or you heard about the person buying $1 million worth of land. You look at what people are calling metaverse at the moment, and that's where you can have a submersive experience. And right now, it's in the game industry more than anything, and so a game like Roblox or Minecraft would be considered metaverse, where you can enter the world, build things, buy things, hang out with your friends. Our children are living in the metaverse right now.
Yes, my daughter she plays in Roblox all the time. And that concludes this segment because we have less than 30 seconds left. But I wanted to say thank you so much to you, Nikki, for bringing on these very insightful questions. And thank you to our experts, both Chris and Paul, Chris from CCPDigital and Paul Caldwell from Caldwell Soames. It was very insightful having you on, and I'm sure many listeners benefited from this segment.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. Definitely check out Nikki Giavasis. Follow her on the gram at Nikki Giavasis Official. And definitely check out CCPDigital at ccp.digital and ogpay.com. Very trusted platform tying into everything that we are speaking about today. And OG2D, the original 2 Digital Corporation. We'll be right back after this. That was our influencer segment, sponsored by CCP Digital and Caldwell Soames.